Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am the Night Walker, and yes, folks, we're coming to the beginning of October 1st, which means Halloween is coming. And if you know me, you know I absolutely adore Halloween. It's pretty much about my favorite time of the year, and oh yeah, I could pretty much celebrate Halloween almost every day of my life, and pretty much just about do. Uh, so without further ado, the Now we got here the adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, but I'm not going to talk about Wind in the Willows. Okay, to be truthfully honest with you, I never actually watched the cartoon. The only reason I have this is because of the Legend of Sleepy Hollow cartoon, and that's what I'm going to be talking about tonight. I think we all as horror fans, we have kind of our essential viewing for Halloween. We have our certain shows, we have our certain cartoons, certain movies that, for us, it's tradition to watch. I mean, we have like, some people they watch, of course, John Carpenter's Halloween, obviously. Some people watch, the Universal classic monster movies. Some people watch, Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And for me, this is definitely one of the essential viewing experiences that I need during the Halloween season because this is one that I grew up with, and honestly, it's very well done. It's got humor in it, but at the same time, it's kind of a genuinely spooky cartoon, and they would never do it nowadays. But it's like, do you remember when back in the day, some of the Disney cartoons really went into some dark and scary places. It's like Snow White, especially when Snow White gets poisoned by eating the apple, or remember Pinocchio. Pinocchio was actually pretty disturbing when he goes to the island for boys, and he sees the boys turning into donkeys, and he's starting to turn into one himself, and things like that. So, but yeah, this was back when Disney was doing some pretty dark cartoons and everything. So, but yeah, just for me, I've got to watch this one every year, and I know probably for some people it's considered too old fashioned now, or I'm sure somebody out there, because it's an older cartoon. Does it say when this came out? Let's see here. Da, 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 da. I can't find it right now. So, but anyway, though, yeah, just never mind. I'm wasting everybody's time. But of course, yeah, if you know the story, it's a simple story by Washington Irving. Based on his book, and more like a novella, kind of a little bit longer than a short story, but. Anyway, so the story concerns Ichabod Crane, who was a school teacher. And you know what the funny thing is like, honestly, is like when I was a kid, I know I'm kind of going a little all over the place with this. I'm sorry, but you know when I was a kid, I was actually genuinely scared for Ichabod Crane, but I didn't really as a little kid, you don't kind of understand some things about adult relationships, but then as you get older, you start to understand, adults and the way the world is and things like that. I remember being a kid and being genuinely scared for Ichabod Crane and feeling bad for him for what happened to him. But then as I started to get older, I started to really kind of understand things in this cartoon, that Ichabod Crane was a little bit of a dick. I'm sorry, but he kind of was. Here's a guy who he blows into the town of Sleepy Hollow, and it's a rustic, small village, and in upstate New York and all this. And he comes in, and he's kind of I mean, you got the songs that kind of indicate it and stuff, but it's clear that Ichabod Crane is he's kind of one of these guys. He thinks that he's above everybody in this town. He feels like he's more educated, more cultured than them, and he feels like that he could kind of like come in and teach these country rubes how to be like civilized people and things like that. And he starts to work on that sort of thing. And even though he's getting picked on, and he's considered kind of an oddball by the community, but the thing is, the guys don't like him too much, but the women love him, and so he's kind of looking down on everybody as if he's so advanced. But then we also find out that he's a social climber, in the sense that when he meets Katrina Van Tassel, the daughter of Baltus Van Tassel, that we find out that he's actually like he falls for Katrina immediately, but we don't. That's the thing. Katrina is like surrounded by all the guys in Sleepy Hollow, and particularly Brom Bones is the one who, is really really in love with Katrina, and but there's a difference. There's a difference between Brom Bones and Ichabod Crane. As a kid, I always side with Ichabod because I always thought Brom was just kind of a bully. But as I get older, I'm kind of starting to realize like I kind of appreciate Braun a little bit more because in this version, Braun he wants Katrina, whereas Ichabod he wants to marry Katrina because Katrina is a daughter of social standing in Sleepy Hollow. She's the daughter of the richest farmer, and Baltus Van Tassel is a man in the town who, he's connected. He's, the big deal in the town. He's the most wealthy man in the town, and it seems more like Ichabod wants to marry Katrina more because he thinks that marrying her will get him social standing and make him more popular, make him more cultivated and more cultured than what he really is. And here's a guy who he thinks he's doing good as being a school teacher, and he feels he's got this intellect over everybody else. But kind of like the difference is that Brom Bones, at least he loves Katrina because he wants her. He doesn't, or at least they don't say, but it doesn't come out that like Braun wants to marry Katrina for the money or for the social standing or anything. He wants Katrina because he is nuts about Katrina. Which seems to me like that would be a little bit more of a noble reason to want to marry a woman is because you care about her. You want her. You don't give a damn about her money. You don't give a damn about, who her family is. You want her. She's what you care about. But so anyway, so yeah, just I remember like all of a sudden I started really, yeah, Ichabod's a little bit of a jerk. But anyway, still though, that doesn't really take away from the story. Um, but anyway, yeah, it's fun. There's some good funny moments in it, and I do like when they're at the dance and Braun desperately wants to dance with Katrina, but she's dancing with Ichabod the entire time, and so he comes up with this plan to substitute this one kind of lonely, short, plus size woman. Forgive me for saying that, but he's like, I could substitute her to dance with Ichabod, and I can sweep in and steal Katrina, and we could dance. And so, he tries to do this, and this woman just, whoa, she just all over the place, whoa, and everything else. And so, he starts dancing with her, but then he tries to pass her off to Ichabod, and Ichabod just, he's so, fluid with movement and everything else that he's able to just sweep in and throw this girl back at Braun and steal back Katrina and everything. So, and then, yeah, what else can I say about that? Oh, you got the narration and the singing by Bing Crosby, and take that for what you will. It's like it doesn't bother me that much, but I'm sure there are probably people out there nowadays probably be offended by it for some reason because well, Bing Crosby, you ever hear the story about how he parented his kids and stuff like that? It's like so. But anyway, though, it's like it's definitely the music is definitely done to his style. It's definitely the bo 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 bo. But you got some catchy songs in here, like the song about when Ichabod is first introduced. Who's the town's ladies' man? Has to be none other than Ichabod Crane. And then you got the probably my favorite song in this whole one is with a hip hip and a clippity clop. He's out looking for a head to chop, so don't try to figure out a plan. You might reason with a headless man. Or you can't reason. Sorry, I screwed that up. My bad. But anyway, though, yeah, just this one here is, and honestly, it's like when you get to the final act, when um, Ichabod is trying to go home, he's riding his, it's more like a mule there he's riding, but then he encounters the Headless Horseman right there, and he hears a story that Brahm told him, and it's genuinely effective, even for a cartoon. It's genuinely effective. It's scary, and it's pretty suspenseful the way it's done. There are a couple of moments where you kind of get some chuckles out of it. Some people might be like, well, that kind of takes you out of the moment, but for me, not too much. But yeah, and just the overall effect on this cartoon is great. And this is a story I love. I've loved it ever since I first saw the cartoon as a kid. There's a if you get a chance, get on YouTube and check out Vincent Price's Once Upon a Midnight Scary. And there's a version of there that is, they do a version of Legend of Sleepy Hollow, plus they do a version of the story House with a Clock in Its Walls, that was just recently made into the Eli Roth movie. But they do versions of those stories well, and you got Vincent Price narrating it. And that one scared the crap out of me, to be honest with you, because in this, it's always been known in the story that when Ichabod crosses the bridge and he turns and sees, the Headless Horseman throws a flaming pumpkin at him, and that's where it cuts to black or whatever. But in that Once Upon a Midnight Scary, that one was a little bit scarier because he's floating, he throws a head at him, and the head's like that, and that scared me pretty good too. So I have to admit that one got me. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about all I can say about this. I really do enjoy it. I think one thing that's kind of funny though is how it's like Ichabod. If you see on here, he's skinny as a rail. And so you look at him right there. He's skinny as a rail, and yet the guy is in there. He's eating food like he's dying of starvation. So it's funny. That does seem to be kind of true. If you ever notice, it's like a lot of the times it's the really, really skinny people. Seems like they eat the most. Of course, people argue, well, dude, it's their metabolism and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I know. I'm just saying. But overall, yeah, this is essential viewing for me. And, because we're heading into my favorite month and getting ready, for my favorite holiday. And so, yeah, I got to start breaking out all my essential viewing and stuff. And gotta start figuring out what I'm gonna do. 31 days. I gotta make sure I watch something great every day. So, or try to watch something great every day. So it just depends on what there is. So, anyway, so that's gonna pretty much do it for me. So, if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it, and I appreciate you for doing it. I honestly hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. There'll be weekly videos posted, and that's pretty much it. I'm the Night Walker, and you better be careful. You might see me out strolling about some nights, so take care.